r/relationships. Should I, 19F, tell my boyfriend, 20M, that his relationship with his ex-sexual partner makes me uncomfortable? My boyfriend, 20M, works on producing music. It's more of a hobby at the moment, but he's hoping to get his music out there and help other people record. When he was in college, he met a girl in a class who was interested in recording with him. He thought it was great, since he wanted more people to record, and she wanted to have her music produced. Well, they became close friends and eventually hooked up. While my boyfriend says it was a one-time thing, the information of the whole thing kept changing. I would believe it's because he has the worst memory and probably just forgot some details. Yes, he's told me what went down, and I really appreciate that, because we're still young, and it's nice to know how many people your partner has been with, even though it's just 2 for both of us. I know that this relationship is no harm, but it just makes me feel so uncomfortable. When I, 19F, was away for college, he would go and pick her up to take her to his house, which has a recording studio, and I wouldn't even know until she was there. I just remember one day I was walking back to my apartment and I wanted to call him. We were in a long distance relationship for my first year of college, but Corona allowed us to live together until my school opens back up. But he said he was on his way to pick up, let's call her L. I was honestly heartbroken that he didn't tell me he was going to be with L that day, like so heartbroken that I started crying. She eventually moved back to her hometown since she was really homesick, and I thought that was the last of her. Months passed, I moved back to my hometown with him, and everything was great. He mentioned that L wanted to call to catch up, no big deal. I guess their call made L realize that she wanted to continue recording and working with my boyfriend. I also had no worries about that. Something that bothered me about the whole situation was that my boyfriend was doing this for free, while he would charge literally any other person. It takes up hours of his days to edit music, and it angers me that she is taking advantage of him like that. They text a bit, and I don't even go through his phone to know that. We will be watching a video on his phone and he will get a notification from L and swipe it away. It hurts, but the more I write about this, the more I realize how crazy I sound. I know that he wouldn't ever do anything to hurt me, and he is the most honest person I have ever met. I love him like crazy, and I don't want to mess anything up with his future recording. Should I even talk about it? TLDR, my boyfriend still talks with his ex-sexual partner, and I was wondering if it's a bad idea to talk about it. Edit, I want to clear up that they don't text all day. It just seems like that, since he'll get a notification from her when we are watching something on his phone or whatever. L doesn't live in our city anymore, and both my boyfriend and I live together and work from home. Thank you all for the advice. People on Reddit gives advice about this relationship. So first of all, it's okay that you're uncomfortable. Lots of people get twinges of discomfort with stuff like this, and while it sounds like you might have more than a twinge, don't beat yourself up for having a reaction. A reaction is normal. You say you wonder if you should talk to your boyfriend about it, and I think you should, but I also think how you talk to him matters. You see a lot on this forum, people act like their discomfort should be a veto on their partner's behavior. This happens so much that a lot of people think that saying I get uncomfortable with this means I'm asking you to stop this. Asking him to stop would be unreasonable. So when you talk to him, you need to make it clear that you're not asking him to stop working with her or being friends with her. So you need to figure out what you are asking him for. And before you can do that, you need to do some work. You need to figure out the question. What could he do which would make me more comfortable with their relationship? Notice I didn't say not uncomfortable at all, but rather more comfortable. It sounds like you know a few of those things already. He could, for example, tell you in advance that he's seeing her on a given day. Another one is that you'd like him to not interrupt experiences the two of you are sharing to communicate with her about random stuff. While there's probably more than you should do some work to figure out, right, there are two simple things you can ask him which should be pretty easy for him to agree to. And, if you're like most people, you'll probably find that being able to talk to him about this stuff, and seeing him be reasonable and respond appropriately when you approach him with simple, actionable requests, does more to make you more comfortable than anything you would ever feel comfortable asking for. This work of figuring out what you need from your partner is something that a lot of people don't want to do. Figuring out why you're uncomfortable requires sitting with your discomfort, and a lot of people treat this sort of discomfort like a hot stove. They don't want to touch it. The instant they feel it, they go, nope, this is a problem. You stop that now. So that he doesn't think that's what you're saying and get defensive, you need to proactively, in that conversation, make clear that you're not asking him to cut her off or not work with her. It takes up hours of his days to edit music, and it angers me that she is taking advantage of him like that. I know a variety of people who do the same kind of work your boyfriend does, and every single one of them does, or has done work inexpensively, or for free for friends and or on projects they like where there's no money, when they have free time. Particularly given that he's young and still learning and developing his craft, he's gaining experience, and practicing and working on the stuff that people are paying him to do, which is a very different experience than collaborating on the stuff that he's excited to do. So I feel like your frame of him being taken advantage of isn't super fair or accurate, and you should be careful about projecting that onto him. If it was a guy friend, and it made him happy to do work with him, would you still feel like he was being taken advantage of? I have healthy friendships with many of my past partners, and it can be done respectfully with appropriate boundaries in place. I always made clear to my current partner that I have old friends who used to be lovers. With the right communication, these things can work out. But if I can be honest, from your account it sounds like there is something more to this story. It appears that she may have deeper feelings for your partner that she either hasn't shared or that she has shared, but your boyfriend is withholding so as not to upset you. Something doesn't feel right here. Either way, I encourage you to have open communication with him about what you're feeling, and just ask him to be clear about it all. Ask him if she's still into him, or if he has feelings for her, and let him be open and honest to the fullest extent. Sometimes these kinds of things will remain hidden out of fear of hurting others. No matter what he says, don't express anger or blame him for lying, etc., because it will only make the conversation shut down. Ask him directly, and be graceful in your reception. It's totally reasonable to talk about those concerns with him, and it's much better to have a rational conversation now than a full-blown argument later. Just make sure going into it, you have an idea of what you want to accomplish. Is it just a conversation to ease your mind? Does he have behaviors that you feel need to change in order for you to be comfortable with their relationship? Like, no free labor, she should be treated like every other customer. Be honest with yourself when you think about it. What do you need in order for the relationship to continue? It's okay if you need some reasonable boundaries, but know what those are ahead of time. Let him know how you feel, and stay calm for the conversation. It hurts, but the more I write about this, the more I realize how crazy I sound. I'm so over this narrative that men have created to make women they are in relationships with question their sanity. Duck that. If you are in a committed relationship, you really have no business having close relationships with prior sexual partners out of respect for your current relationship. This is disrespectful, and you have every right to be upset. However, I will say that being so young, it's a time where relationships aren't really serious in the sense that you're still figuring things out and not thinking about marriage yet in most cases. Talk to him about how you're feeling. If his relationship with this person is taking precedence or interfering with yours, then you need to exit the relationship. It's good that he was open with you, but also you need to make sure your relationship together is secure.